Hey everyone, this is Chuck Mayer. I am also here with my partner for today, our newest mechanical mind here, Andrew Smith. He and I will both be setting up a saltwater aquarium for you today, less the water. We're going to do a dry stack, but we're going to do all the equipment so that when and if you decide to get a saltwater aquarium, you'll know just what to do, what to troubleshoot, and how to do it. So, without getting too much further into it, let's get into it. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is you're going to be able to use this no matter what size tank you decide to buy. We thought about doing a really big tank. We thought about doing a small tank. I didn't want the small tank to not seem like it would apply to the big tank. I didn't want the big tank to seem too intimidating if you were in the market for a 65-gallon tank. So I tried to take something the best of both worlds, which is a tank I love and one that we sell a lot, which is a 110-gallon. This is a Marineland tank, and this is one of our most popular stands. This is what we call the Coastal. It's a really cool stand that allows you both entry for feeding and general maintenance to full-on maintenance without having to remove the canopy, where all your lighting and easy access to the top would happen right here. All of your equipment, of course, will go in the bottom, and it is a really beautiful modern coastal feel. So we're going to do the 110. We're going to go over all the components that we've gotten for the 110, and then we're going to put it together for you. So the component breakdown for this particular tank that we're setting up is a eShop sump. This is the 200. I love this sump because of the size of it. eShops has a fantastic line of sumps. It is my #1 go-to right now for all different things. If you've got a really high-end reef tank, you need to do a lot of dosing and stuff. There are other type of sump designs with the eShops, but I got a very simple one. Andrew, I know you like the eShop sump. What is it particularly that you like?
I actually personally like that you have two media sacks that have large capacity, very big protein skimmer area, and plenty big enough for a large return pump back into the aquarium.
Yeah, very easy to work on. So that's the eShop's sump that we'll be using today, and I see right beside you you've got the skimmer. What made you pick that skimmer?
It's the X160 eShops. Just ease of use, easy to put it in. It's kind of plug and play, and it works perfect with their sumps.
You want to pop it in here so people can kind of see how it sits. Protein skimmer is one of the most important equipment that you have with any saltwater aquarium. The reason is, if you've ever been to the beach and seen all that foam rush up on the shore, that's God protein skimming. This basically does that job that you see. It's removing all kinds of nitrates, it's removing all kinds of dissolved organics and things like that through a process where it's using heavy current. The actual nutrients and things that it's pulling out, or the negative things rather, are attaching to these little white balls that you'll see, and it actually comes up and breaks in the top of the skimmer, in top of the head of the skimmer. So this is really this is the main piece of equipment that we'll use on a saltwater aquarium. A lot of other things that you can use are things like reactors and things like that we'll talk about in other videos. But as for a basic introductory saltwater setup, this is where we start. The other things that we have here, you want to talk a little bit about the Sitches?
Yep. So the Sitche, both of these would be excellent matches for this size tank. I went with the 3.0 for more of an affordable option, but if you really wanted to kick some water around, the 5.0 really has enough power. Both are plumbed the same exact way onto this tank.
Typical overflow, which is what we're going to use because this is a plumbed tank, will generally handle about 750 to 800 gallons per hour. So we try to pick a pump that is well matched for that without doing too much or too little, and that's what we use for the return that will go in here. What we've decided to use today is a tank that has a built-in overflow, and basically what that does is that allows you to push the tank back as far to the wall as you want without any external thing hanging off the back of the tank. Basically, the overflow function is to take water from the top of the tank or from the tank itself down through the bottom of the tank into the sump, and then we have a pump that pumps it back up. Okay, Andrew, so you ready to plumb an overflow?
Yes, sir.
All right, you lead.
Excellent. So whenever you buy a tank, you're going to get one of these little kits. This is the Marineland overflow kit, and this is what you should expect. This big old guy is going to be your drain line. And I'll hand that to you.
Handy assistant. That's me right now.
And this is going to be your return line with that 90 degree. Let me get that last piece out. And I'll just put that on real quick. So I'm just handing you one piece.
Okay, did you get that? This into here. I don't look like Diane Parkinson, so this isn't going to work so well, but anyway.
This is going to be your bulkhead. That is actually going to be the thing that goes through the glass bottom of the tank. You'll see if I take off that nut right there, you do have a gasket right there. You want that to be very clean, very dry, and we're going to pop it right in one of the holes when we decide which one's going to be our drain line, and then we put this nut on the bottom. We're going to do the same exact thing for our return line.
Quick question, which side of the tank do you want the gasket on?
Typically, I put the gasket on the inside because that's
good, because typically that's where it goes.
It's going to be on the inside because that's where the water is going to be, and the dry nut on the outside is going to squeeze that together to make it watertight.
All right, let's plumb a tank.
All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the nut off of the bulkhead. I'm going to decide which one I want in this tank. My drain line is going to be on this left side. So I'm just going to actually thread it through, and I like pointing that little 90 degree drain towards the back. And I'm going to do the same thing for my return line. Just get that nice and snug, make sure the washer's there. And I'm going to put this one on the right side. Tighten the nuts onto our bulkheads underneath. And I'm just going to loosely hand tighten them and get it all the way up to the glass. And then they actually have a bulkhead wrench. It has the two different sizes. And you can see it fits right in there. And I just like giving it at least a half or quarter turn after hand tighten. So there are two spots that you can put your return line. These perforated things come out real quick with this little help from these. I actually prefer this one on this size tank. Nice and easy. I prefer this one whenever I'm plumbing the return line because it just sprays the back of that 4-foot length tank a little bit better, in my opinion. Just got to put on the nut and that will be plumbed. Again, just hand tighten. And once it gets a little snug, the little bulkhead wrench, nice good turn, nice and snug. So there are a few different types of overflows that you might come across. This particular one is Aquarium. This would be the accessory kit that would come with this overflow box. A couple of the neat things that they include is a adjustable drain pipe so that you can actually set the water level in the overflow box. And they also give you these very convenient bulkheads with some barb fittings, so it makes it very quick and easy to use some flex tube and plumb it. On the marine land setup with their overflow box, they're a little bit more geared towards hard plumbing or PVC. They come with slit bulkheads, so you can go down to any hardware store. It gives a lot of different versatility, so you can really add anything to get that barb fitting. Whereas with your Aquarium, it already comes with the bulkhead and the barb fitting, so that it makes it a lot easier just out of the box to plumb it. But if you're really interested in doing hard plumbing and stuff, this might be more your fit. The Marine Land overflow box actually makes it really easy to service the actual skimmer. This whole piece comes out so that you can clean and get any debris off of this, which is a really nice little feature that they do have on this tank. So there's many types of overflows that you may come across. Each of them have a little bit pros and cons to each of them. The one that we're going to focus on today, though, is going to be our Marine Land on our 110.
Okay, so we've got our sump ready. We've got two pieces of equipment here. This is what we call our dryer hose. This will actually hook up for the drain line. This will actually hook into one of these holes and go right up into the underneath of the aquarium. This right here will be our return line. This will actually hook into our pump, and hook into the return line of the tank. As simple as that. Pump is in there. I'm going to turn it over to Andrew and he's going to show you how to make the connections.
So whenever you are hard plumbing a tank, you have to use a primer and glue for a PVC. I always recommend dry fitting, just to make sure all the pieces are going to fit exactly where you want them. And if you have any threaded pieces, always use some Teflon tape. But for this video, I'm just going to get it all dry fitted and ready because this is not going to be a permanent install. I'm going to put this on our return line bulkhead, and I'm going to attach my return line for my pump like so. And I'm going to do the same thing with my drain line. I'm going to install it into the sump just like that with that piece of pipe. And then I'm going to go into my drain line bulkhead up here. Nice and snug, just like that. And that is how you plumb a sump to the overflow. One thing I would like to add, if this was a permanent install, I would not use this line. You do not want any kind of kinks or bends in your drain line. It is a gravity-fed system, and this could cause some backup and overflow. I would get a more appropriate size, a lot less length on that drain line if I was doing this for a permanent install. Another way that you could actually correct that drain line hose is actually simply moving the sump underneath the stand, where you're going to have a much easier drain, a much less bent line.
Okay, so hopefully you have learned how to plumb a saltwater aquarium or a freshwater aquarium that has an overflow, whichever works for you. But this particular saltwater aquarium, I think Andrew did a very good job of giving you a good overlay. Now what I'm going to do is take and do the actual internal design. And I'm just going to do a quick little design and we'll kind of see what comes of it. But this is going to be the rock part of it, which is where we're going to create the skeleton, which is going to form the outline of what your coral reef is going to look like. So let's go. Okay, so this is a design with basically 4 boxes of rock. It's not as elaborate as probably I would go if I was doing this in your home. And I have almost no sand. I have very little of a sand bed. I like a little bit thicker bed, even though it does promote phosphates a bit, just because it helps hold a higher rock structure in place a little bit better. However, this is just one design. It's just a quick design. There's a million different things you can do. The one thing that I try to always do and say in every video where I do any kind of aquascaping is I hate having mechanical things showing. I want, whether it's a freshwater or a saltwater design, to where it looks like you just took a cutout from either an ocean or a stream or a lake, and that's what's in your living room between the stand and the canopy. So in this particular thing, the first place I started was at the overflow. The overflow I wanted to hide as much as possible. There's no way I would do this design and not get a couple more pieces of rock and hide that overflow. That drives me crazy. You also will have a couple loose pumps that you'll have for circulation in there that I will bury into the rock work, which is why there's still these open spaces. But again, it's lifted. There's lots of cavatures and places where fish can swim in and out of. It's very inviting, yet there's refugium areas within the tank so the fish can relax and get away from each other if they need to. And overall, even if it's just the skeletal design with no corals and you're just doing a fish-only saltwater aquarium, you've got something to kind of look at. Something with a little bit of a design. So anyway, that's that part of it. Let's get back down to the sump and we'll talk a little bit more about your saltwater aquarium. Okay, so at this point we're going to put the protein skimmer in there. What I usually tell people first off is to pull the head off the protein skimmer so you don't drop it. It's easy to, once you have it assembled, to put it in there and end up with a broken cup. So go ahead and put the body of your protein skimmer in there. That's going to sit in the middle area. If you have a refugium type sump, which is basically a sump that harbors small invertebrates and macroalgae, that may be in the sump area as well, but the protein skimmer is going to sit in the main chamber of the sump. What I usually tell people too is that don't start the protein skimmer when you set up the tank. I usually recommend that you plug it in after a couple weeks of the tank running. The reason is because this can impede the nitrogen cycle. And of course we have a video on that, but the nitrogen cycle is the first stage of the bacterial development of your tank when you first set it up. The protein skimmer will actually inhibit that a little bit, so we don't recommend that you turn it on until you know that the tank is cycled. Then away it goes. So this is your saltwater aquarium. It's very simple. There's only a few main components to a simple reef aquarium. We haven't talked about the light yet. We will get to that in just a second. But basically what you have here is a plumbed aquarium with the sump, with the skimmer, return pump in place. Now all you have to do is fill it with water. I always dry stack the tank first, but I also always, before I get that high, I'll put about 10 to 20 gallons of water in there to make sure that the bottom area of the rock isn't going to shift. Just for the purpose of this video, we're not filling up with water because it's not staying here. If you'd like us to come to your home or office and set one up, I'll be happy to fill it up with water and make it look even better than this. So anyway, on this particular tank, we might set up radion lighting, we might use AIs, we might use the novice, we might use the new red sea lights that are fantastic. Or for a lower reef light, we might use the Hagen lights, which you see right here. All of which are programmable by apps on your phone, and we'll get into a lot more about reef lighting in a future video. I don't want to overwhelm you with this because this is just a design for a basic saltwater aquarium, where we've used the simpleness of the rock, the simple parts of the main equipment that you need, and all you have to do is plug and play, fill it up, and you're ready to go. Hopefully this has been a video that will help you with your new saltwater aquarium. We know much of you seasoned vets out there don't need something like this, but if you're into your first saltwater aquarium or plumbing it for the first time, this is the best way to go about it. Andrew, thoughts?
Just real nice little setup for anyone out there. It pieced it together, very basic, ready to go.
Typically this shouldn't take an all-day situation, and we at Fishy Business can certainly come out. Andrew and I, that's what we do. So we can come out during the week and set it up. If you don't want to fool with it, if you want to manhandle it yourself, if you're stuck at home right now and you need some entertainment, we can certainly come by and entertain you with setting up an aquarium. Thank you for paying attention to the video. Please subscribe to our channel at Fishy Business SC here at YouTube. Pay very close attention to our Facebook, as we will always update when new videos are shown. And I wish you all the best. God bless.